Hey YouTube, today I want to do a video that ties back into the video I did yesterday about the baby boomers. Basically, I find it disgusting that we as a society, the world, but especially the Western world, has spent an entire generation completely fixated on greed, selfishness, and consumerism. We've used the resources of the whole world, polluted the world, waged war upon the world, taken over governments, assassinated people, spread propaganda throughout the world in order that we can accumulate as much junk as possible. And I understand, it's a basic human instinct. It hasn't just started now to do that, but we've never had the ability to consume as much as we can now. We didn't have the money, we didn't have the trade, now, and we also didn't have the propaganda from the brainwashing from the television to entice us to buy so much stuff that we don't need, to basically waste our entire lives working, getting into debt to buy things, to just consume and consume and consume and consume without limit. And then all of it ends up at Goodwill in the landfill. I mean, I worked in construction, I worked on foreclosures, and I just saw all of this junk, wasted things, wasted materials, wasted resources. It's sickening, and it really goes down to the 80s and 90s, like the creed then, right, was whoever dies with the most toys wins. Greed is good, things like that. And it's sad. Like I said, it's a wasted life. I mean, can't we as a society work towards something better than building McMansions and importing things from China that we don't need? I mean, aren't there any better ways to use our minds and our resources than that? I'm not a communist, but at least they sort of reined in the excesses of that. How much stuff do you really need? I mean, how big of a house do you really need? It's sickening. It really is. Like, as the resources are dwindling, and when people look back and think about what they wasted them on, it's sad. And like I said, I can understand the instinct. But I lived in Honduras for about 8 months, and I had $2,000 when I went there, and I worked there, and I only spent $2,000 in a whole year, plus what I made in Honduras, which is hardly anything. I was making like $6 a day working in construction there, and and I couldn't buy anything. I could barely even like feed myself. And when I got back, I did start to like hoard things and eat a lot. I mean, that's the need, right? It's survival. But they've used that survival instinct with the advertising, and it's just gone out of control. Where people, it's just outrageous, And it's one good thing I'll say about living in a foreign country, like me living, for example, in Thailand. I don't understand the language. I don't have a television, and even if I did, I wouldn't understand it. And I don't really relate to the people or the society or the culture. So the normative cues that the culture and the media impart into you, it has no effect on me here. And so I don't consume, I don't have the desire to buy anything because that propaganda is meaningless to me. That's why I think a lot of times immigrants can be more successful because they're not subject to that. Anyways, I don't know. It's just, like I said, it's sad. I mean, I hope we could really start to allocate the remaining resources that we have to trying to understand more about science, to renewable resources, to living sustainably, to living reasonably, instead of so greedily and hoarding like products, just Chinese plastic junk that we don't need. What do you think?